Something that I've learned that I'll never forget. Be genuine to yourself. Trust the process, and ultimately your time will come.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, cowboys and cowgirls, to the TX Whiskey Behind the Curtain studio. My name is Chelsea Sutton, and I am so honored to be joined here today by Jenny and Michael Cooper, some of our competitors and owners here in the Cutting Challenge at the Run for a Million 2025. Thank you guys for joining me.
Thank you.
Let's start at the top. There's a lot of places we could start. You are an icon in the cutting. 5.8 plus million in earnings as a cutting competitor. And here at the Run for a Million, this is your third year qualifying, third year competing. You are no stranger to intense competition. This year, you own the horse that you're riding. Let's talk a little bit about that. I want to talk first about what it feels like to be showing and competing a horse that you own in comparison to when you're riding for someone else.
Well, I think you always would like to have that, and you always try to have that, and the chance of having that is slim because the competition and the horsepower nowadays is extremely, extremely strong. And we took a shot on buying this mare, and when we did, she just kept coming on, and so to have that feels very special to us, and maybe have the first brood mare that we actually wanted to keep for our family to breed, in the distance,
Take me back to finding this mare, because she's young, she's a 5-year-old mare.
Yep. We bought her a year ago, and she'd won $26,000 or so, and we bought her from Lindy Birch, and Lindy let me try her for a little while. We offered her to some of our customers first, because that's what we do, we ride for the public, and they thought it would just not fit what they was wanting. So I went back to the house and I told her, I said, man, I got a gut feeling about this mare. And I said, she's strong, she's cowly, she wants to win. You could just feel it, whether you can see that when you're a customer or whatever, I could just feel it. And she's been behind me from the start, whatever you want to do, I'll support you. And she's like, well, okay. And so we bought her, and it was a little bit of a rough start, and it's just kept getting better and better and better. And she really, really gives it 110% every time she's there.
Talk about the mental side of that, right? Choosing to take on a horse for your own process to let's go get qualified, right? And then you get qualified. Now it's managing and preparing for an event like this, especially with a younger horse in the cutting.
Well, yes, and I think that's in retrospect, I want to not try to push her any harder than I want to than I would like to, because she's going to start showing her too, and also she's got a lot left, and so I don't want to push her, over the limit, but in that mare, she will rise to the occasion. It's not about trying to push her too hard sometimes. It's about letting her go, because she has strength like a stallion.
Interesting.
And so she's one of the strongest mares I've ever ridden. And so she can get out of spots and do stuff that I never thought one could do.
Share show strategy with me, if you would, because especially being in your third year here, you've got some experience. You've seen the lights before. You know what it feels like to go into that arena. Of course, there's nuances every single year that make things different. And here is also a unique environment because we've got multiple disciplines competing all throughout the week, right? So there's ground changes and there's all of those components. As you consider all of those, how does it affect how you prepare for yourself and to get your horse ready?
Well, I'll try not to prepare any different here than I do for anything else besides staying focused, because I think if you try to prepare other than hard work, you want to make sure your preparation's there, you know what I'm saying? But you don't want to overthink anything. Withdrawing first this time, I will have a different perspective on going out there and just trying to get through a good solid run, because of this, just me, because of when you get there and you can those cattle can feel the pressure in those first 3 holes, you don't actually know what the cows are going to do. And the cows dictate so much. And so I'll be more or less the guinea pig. The first hole or 2 will be the guinea pigs to see what happens with the cattle. You know what I mean? So that'll be my preparation for here. Will be driving up as far as I can to give her the best opportunity to hold the cow, because you don't know where they're going to lie in at or what kind of cattle they're going to be.
I come from the reining world, so this is as authentic as a question as it can get.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about the practical preparation. What is happening with that horse this week? You know, in the reiners, we take them to the spa. You know, some people give them the day off the night before. Some people work them the night before. What are those types of things that you're...
I handle the work part of it, and they handle the taking care of her. But
well, she, you know, she's a spa candidate all the time. Like, we have a spa at our ranch, so she's in there all the time. So, and then we have our lady that does all of our therapy. She's here, so she gets all the same treatment here that she would at home. So she's getting legs wrapped, and she's getting spa'd, and she's getting all the extras, and just everything. That thing's changed from what it would be at home for her. So
in the preparation for work, like this mare wants to cut so bad, I'll just basically just keep things slow for her because she wants to go fast. They asked a question out there the other day. They said, what would your horse say to you if she could speak to you? And I said, she'd probably say, just let me do it my way.
Yeah.
And so that's a little bit her. She's got her own personality as far as wanting to cut and wanting to do it her way. So I basically just try to keep her slowed down and keep her coming behind the cow a little bit.
And I would say, yeah, she is 5, but to me, she's like an older horse. Like, she's very mature. Like, she's very settled, if you will. And so I don't think age isn't really a thing for her. Like, she knows her job. She loves her job. And then the combination with Michael and her both is a very solid combination. So
yeah,
it really works.
I would go along with that.
Do you see breeding in the plans for this mare?
We already have
Yes.
started. I really think this mare is going to be a producer. The way she feels, as cowy as she is, as smart as she is on the cow, and as strong as she is. So I've never been a breeder. Never. I've been one to train. And she's like, you think we should get another one? But I do want to raise a lot of babies because I think this mare is going to be a heck of a producer. And Lindy Birch, the way she's brought so many good horses to the industry, and I'm kind of proud to own one of hers that leads to that bloodline.
And, just for our viewing audience, Bella Louella is the 5-year-old mare, a metallic cat out of Caddy Louella. You're already thinking on the breeding line of things. When you think about going in and competing, there's a lot of money on the line here at the event. It's more than just what happens here, right? It's more than just what the paycheck is. It's more than just what that run is. For the practical side, right? Because you talk about that mare's earnings and how that's going to, translate in the marketing of that mare. You talk about how it impacts you guys' lives as owners, right? And then all the other facets of it. So when you think about show strategy, is it a go big, go home, we're going to lay it out on the line? Is it a just try and get a good run? This is a 5-year-old?
Well, like being first, no, I think she can do that. And just like the American, I showed her at the American also. And she handled that loud, all the stuff that goes on at these big shows and all the pressure. So she handled that good. So it even made me feel better about coming here, if that makes sense. But far as going for it, on the first cow, I'm going to be coming up and cutting clean because you don't know exactly how it's going to go and how it's going to unfold. So I will monitor that as I go in that 2.5 minutes. And so when it goes, if it's that second cow's keep coming, and then, see what happens by the third cow.
And I think, and he's told me before, he lets his cow or his run dictate what happens, you know what I mean? And if he's feeling good on a cow, like, he'll stay longer on the cow. If he's not, he'll tag off and get something else. So, he's always go big. Like, so I mean, it's neat to hear him say that, but, and, he's like, if if you go big or you go out kind of thing. But I do agree with him being that first whole draw, and with the excitement that will be in the air tomorrow night and everything, your cows are really going to dictate what happens,
At least the owner's here, and
I understand that
call them on the
completely.
phone.
Yeah, I totally get the deal. So it's all good.
Absolutely. There's a journey that leads you to moments like these. I think it's really easy for even people in the industry like myself, but that aren't in the everyday cuttings or at the horse shows or living the ranch life like you guys do. It's really easy to show up at a large event, look at the draw list, and watch it when you guys come through the arena gates and forget what it takes to get here, not just on that horse, but the rest of the life. I would love to talk about, if you'd be willing for a moment, you guys had a barn fire a few years ago. Yeah. Share a little bit about, what happened, what that tragedy was, and specifically, I would love for you to unpack, those were the everyday things that you guys still have to deal with when it talks about preparing and getting ready for the next horse show.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we got the phone call that day, it scared you to death. You know what I mean? And they were there working on an addition to another part of our barn for my son, just to have more horses, right? And so they were just about done. And in fact, when we got done from that show, we were going to go right there. And so a welder just happened to spark and catch the insulation on fire, and it was extremely scary. The only other thing would be is if we would have had horses in there already.
Right.
That was we can rebuild the structure, we can do all that, but the things that go on in a farm and whatever, because you know what happened there? It's not only the barn burnt, it burnt the whole well house next to it and everything. So we had no water for
We had to haul in water and everything.
And so when you got 400 or 500 head of cows and 60, 70 head of horses or whatever, and then you got neighbors coming over, it's very thankful to realize, who's who. I feel like cowboys and cowgirls always have your back. They're always there. They're always right there, a phone call away, or if somebody. I mean, we had unbelievable amount of phone calls, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And help, and so, but what went on after that was extremely hard to make sure, because it was in the dead of winter too.
Oh.
It was in the dead of winter. And so you know what that's like. It's even harder. It was in January of 2 years ago. So it was extremely tough, but we got it all rebuilt back and ready to go. Got my son's horse, got more space in there for him to come on and go on.
Let's talk about your son, because this is a little bit of a family affair. Lance, your son, is now competing as an open rider. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about that.
You want to go?
No, go ahead. I mean, he's awesome. It was like we used to have to bribe him to as a youth, because our oldest son Lane would show in the youth cuttings, and in order to make the class for Lane, we would have to bribe Lance, like with McDonald's ice cream or a toy from Walmart, to just cross over the timeline. And so, looking back, of just, the bribery, please, well, whatever you want, a water gun, and then now he's, he just crossed over the $1 million mark as an open trainer. You know what I mean? So it just makes us, super proud as parents. And then just.
Well, and where we come from and how hard it was to get there, for him to cross over that million at the same age that I started cutting, that Jenny and I started, it was surreal. It'd be like, as a look back in future and time, in time, and seeing what really happened and how much you got to go through is like, wow,
That's a great testament to the evolution and development of our industry,
Mm-hmm.
The purses that now are here. And I do think it's easy to talk about the dollar figures, right? And that's how our industries measure success. But much to what you guys are talking about, each one of those dollars represent a part of the story, a milestone to get there. The McDonald's, Happy Meal toys, right? And those elements. When you take an event like this, we're sitting here together in Las Vegas, probably the only reason we would have had the opportunity to cross paths is an event like this. When you think about these types of events and you think about the next 10 to 15 years in the industry, especially now having a son that's operating as a professional, what do you see the future looking like?
Well, sure, I'm going to slow down at some point, you know what I mean? But the fun of him being there now talking on the same level as me is really, really fun, because like right now he has all our 3-year-olds in Colorado, So we talk more now than if we was at the ranch together, probably, and sending some videos and stuff. So that is, I mean, you dream of that, you know what I mean? You dream of it. And our oldest son, like, he holds the world record in the Coliseum at Will Rogers Coliseum right now. And he's a realtor, and he called me the other day and he goes, Dad, you need to get some more horses. I'm ready. I want to go back to cutting. So we got to think and talk about that. I want to get him back to showing too, because he's getting to that spot where he's, you know, married, and, you know, it's all steps, you know, and to realize and see how blessed we have been to get here and see the boys change and how they've done and progressed is, for me, is surreal, you know.
And in the future, like, you know, Cade Shepherd, you know, he's going to compete tomorrow night, you know, and Cade was, or Lance was Cade's best man in his wedding. And it, you know, it's just, you know, to see those guys grow up and become trainers, and, you know, Austin and Cade help each other at the shows. Lance is in Michael's corner, you know, and so, as fathers, I'm sure, you know, they're extremely proud, but like this young generation that's coming up, it's just unbelievable to see, like, this to talent that they have, and just the drive
and the knowledge.
And then, yeah, it's just, it's going to be great. I mean, the future is going to be great.
If you were talking to, you guys are in unique spots, right? Because professionally, you've been on the competition arena side of things, and now you're playing owner. If you were sitting in the room full of other owners, right? Or let's say aspiring owners who have horses that want to make it to Vegas, what's your advice to them?
Oh, geez. I'd tell you what, I would say that if they're in any industry, like, you can't, like, so here's what I see a lot. I see a lot of owners that raise the babies, and naturally they think of them as just like their children. And you got to be real about what's happening. If they're strong enough, have a trainer that will tell them the truth, have that connection that, okay, that you're okay telling that owner the truth, that they're not going to pull the horse, have that what would you say, relationship with them, that it's okay. And I feel like in our barn, we have a lot of that. And I think the relationship is what builds the strength of the core for being able to find horses like that, or add horses in there when you need to, because you're not always going to be able to raise that horse. And so I think that's part of why I feel like we wanted to keep Bella so much, is because I feel like that. I know you never know. And here we are being owners, you know, oh, she's got a pretty, you know, but you never know. Bottom line is you never know. So I would say, you know, figure out that goal of, if that customer wants something like this, which most of them do, and then figure out how you want to get there, as far as if you need to add to it by buying, or if you want to, you know, get your babies up here and cull through them till you find that one that might come on. But it's tough. Like, I don't know if anybody, I mean, I'm sure some of them do, but it's extremely tough to get that small percentage of those open horses.
Anything you'd add to that?
No, I mean, I've never been an owner to this level before. Like, I've owned horses, you know, but, you know, this is all new to me. Like, it's a whole different feel, if that makes sense, you know. So, we'll see what happens. I enjoy it. I enjoy being an owner at this level, but it's neat.
Honestly, as a competitor and rider, I really don't even think about it much, because I'm thinking about my job at hand, and I'm proud to have and be the owner, which it's unbelievable to, when you got horses in that barn, it's unbelievable that you would have one to be able to show. When you think about that, and you think about watching the top 10 guys in the rein, and the top 10 guys in the cow horse, top 10 guys in the cutter, it's, when you look at the horsepower, I can't emphasize enough how tough it is to get that horse. And so, but my thoughts isn't honestly on owning. It's the job at hand that I have to do in the next 24 hours. And I'll get that on my mind when I keep through here in the progress, and not changing anything by staying focused on the job. because I don't want to let that horse down either. I know she's going to be trying. So the last thing I want to do is get nervous, okay? And I learned that, I think you and I talked about that just a little bit. I learned that a long time ago, that it does no good getting nervous or anything, because they feel that you won't stay focused or anything else. So my job is to stay focused for her, pick her the best cows I can, and let her do her job.
I want to wrap up with this. I know that you guys are, less than 24 hours from competition. I'm sure there's a lot to get done down in the barns. Is there anything, pre-show ritual, if you will, and particularly, here in Vegas, the atmosphere is a bit different, right? There are thousands of people that will be mulling through the facility. Many here for the horse show. We've got bowlers, professional bowlers up above us, right? There's a lot of things
going on. Yeah.
in South Point Arena this week. What is it that you do to get your head in the game?
Man, I try to get in my bubble and just stay like laser focused, not focused on who's watching this, who's doing this, who cares, whatever. Like get a laser focus and go in, that's it for me. I want to stay laser focused. Block everything out, not hear no sounds. You get in a bubble, get in a complete bubble where you're only in that bubble with that horse and you and that cow. Yeah. And one of my rituals, I guess when I ride to the herd, I just say, God, let me and this horse represent you. And that's my dad's pocket knife. Those two things is my
rituals, yeah.
my go-to.
And, new in an owner at this level, as you said, but anything that you'd add to your role in that pre-event ritual?
I mean, same thing. I need to keep my cool. So obviously I'll be nervous and I don't want to appear, edgy or nervous with him. But, it'll just be, I know he'll do, no matter if it's us or another, a customer, he's going to do an outstanding job either way. And so, I'll go and give her a couple cookies before they take off and, give her a couple little pats and everything. And we'll just wait to see what happens, what the outcome is.
Well, there it is. Well, thank you guys so much for spending a few moments here with us in the studio. We certainly are cheering you on tomorrow night on the lights.
Thanks so much.
All right. Well, we will see you guys next time on another episode in the TX Whiskey Behind the Curtain studio.